Let's, you gonna come, Chloe? Come on. You good? All right. I guess I decided to go live this morning instead of making a video, and mostly because it's easier to go live than it is to. Come on, Chloe. What's your deal? Trying to make a live video and you're messing it all up. Come on. Come on. Hold on. Come on, Chloe. Let's go. It's the last day I'm going to be here in Ohio, if things go as planned. And sort of the first full day of freedom, because I went to the court yesterday and picked up my last, what should be the last court document, and I should be free of the ineffective and self-serving legal system. Not that I shouldn't have been more mentally free of it a while ago. I think I put myself in a little bit of my own prison, but it's not completely that, because, we are dealing with, the judicial system in our country that has a ton of power. And I guess a lot of what I want, there's so many tangents and so many ways I can go right now. I'm going to quickly mention that I am also walking legally blind from post-LASIK ectasia, because I trusted other professionals in my past that were more worried about, it's the reality of the situation is people worry. They try to do good for society and worry about themselves at the same time. And, I remember taking ethics in college, and they said, I don't know why Chloe wants to walk down there. Are you more nervous? I don't blame you for being nervous of the road. Come on. When I took ethics in college, they said this is the only ethics class you get, and it's probably the most important class you will take the entire time you're in college. And how long ago was I in college? I graduated college in '94, and it is now 2026. And so it's been well over 30 years since I had that class. And I'm kind of believing the reality. Maybe it's taken this long for me to learn the complete correctness of that statement. But I guess as I'm saying this, is I trusted eye care professionals back then to that were trying to market what they thought was a good thing, but that would make them a lot of money and help people. But the problem is it doesn't help as many people as they say it does. And I'm one of the out of decisions in my life, getting LASIK has been one of the worst ones. But the funny part is, in 1999, when I got LASIK eye surgery, I thought it was the best thing that ever happened. And, it was a quick recovery, and all of a sudden I could see again without using glasses or contacts. And for the next 5 years, because I went to Iraq in 2004. When I went to Iraq in 2004, I started wearing glasses just to help aid my vision a little bit, but I didn't need to wear them because the vision was still pretty good, but not the end of. So yeah, so LASIK turned out to be a bad thing. Starting in 2004, I slowly got worse and worse. Come on, Chloe. What's the deal now? I guess we gotta wait for Chloe. She needs a little pee break. Better be a pee break. That's it. I can't see. Yeah, it's a pee break. I guess that's the point of the moment is, LASIK has made me very legally blind without contacts, and I can't wear glasses. So 26 years later, I know that it was one of the biggest mistakes in my life. But like I said, in 2004, even 2004, when I was on my way to Iraq, I still thought it was a good idea because I didn't realize how much worse it would get in the next 22 years. And so far, it's still not that bad because I can wear contacts. Come on, Chloe. We need you to keep up a little bit. Come on, Chloe. I know. We're going to cut this as short as we can. But so anyways, my main point, and I am definitely dragging it on way too long in the spirit of live conversation, is the second biggest, or the biggest bad decision I made in my life was getting married because I didn't understand. And there's legal professionals in that could do a better job at letting just, and it's kind of one of the purposes I'm going to have moving forward is fix what our society has ruined. And I believe it's mostly ruined by legal professionals of their own self-interest. And they don't even let you know when you get married the potential harm that can happen. Now, LASIK or marriage is probably way more dangerous than LASIK. It affects way more people negatively than LASIK does. They told me when I got LASIK that I had like 1 in 100,000, maybe 1 in 10,000 chance of, my eyes going bad and having problems. In the reality, they don't really take good statistics because they don't want you to know the reality of it. But one of the best, most eye surgeons don't get LASIK. They will continue to wear their glasses and contacts. And there's a reason for that, because most of them know it's not a good idea, but yet their marketing campaigns will push you and encourage you to do it. Of course. But there are some that know the risks and still want to do it. So there was like a study, and I can't quote the exact numbers, but even if I'm off by a factor of 10, which I'm not, it still highlights the reality of LASIK. So the study had around 110 eye surgeons and they were sent out questionnaires like after their surgery and the problems, and 1 out of 150 had my condition of post-LASIK ectasia, which basically what it is they will never admit it, but it's very likely that they either my corneas were too thin before they did it and they didn't know it, and that's one of the crap things they say. Come on, Chloe, keep coming. Come on, Chloe. This is one of my problem houses. They cut my cornea too thin, so my eye bubbles out from the interocular pressure. And it makes a bubble on my eye. That's why glasses don't fix my vision. Anyways, 25 years later, that was the second worst decision I made in my life, because I guess I didn't really understand all the risks. And the simplest thing we can do to help, because the biggest mistake I made in my life was 15 years ago, close to almost 15 years ago. 15 years ago in about a week, or 10 days, I made the biggest mistake of my life, because the last 2 years have been the worst of my life. The undercurrent of the last 2 years has been the worst of my life. And it's primarily because of what our society has let the legal professionals do. And if you watch the movie Divorce Corp, it says in that movie that the barrier of entry into marriage is so extremely low, partially because it would hurt the business of divorce. And if you think of the insanity of that, and it's real, people fall in love, and 50% of them will stay married, and they won't need the legal professionals. And this business that prevents some simple measures because I like paralleling it with the LASIK eye surgeons, because there's a lot of people that are happy with their LASIK eye surgery. There's a lot of people that are happy they got married. Unfortunately, some of us have complications in our eye surgeries and our marriages, and it's actually more common for people to have complications in their marriages than it is for LASIK patients. And half of those marriages end in divorce nowadays. There's a period of time when it's really good, kind of like with LASIK, and then a slowly decline until they'll find. That's where I guess the business models are different. The LASIK surgeons make their money up front. The divorce business professionals make their money in the back end. While you're going through your misery, fortunately, I will say my LASIK surgeon did a decent job of taking some responsibility and not making it a profit. And there's a lot of people that profit off of the people who have LASIKs and have complications, because they're lifelong dependent. You need a lot more eye care. And fortunately, I did serve in Iraq, so the VA has stepped up and they're taking care of my eyes for me. So they take care of the actual expenses, or most of them. My eye surgeon doesn't have to, which I kind of feel it should be their responsibility a little bit more, but I don't know. I guess I'm going all kinds of different directions, and maybe why I shouldn't do this live. Good morning, people. I got a few people watching, so that's actually an improvement from my other live sessions. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try to get more to the point, and this is my first day of freedom from the legal system. First morning, because I went and got the papers yesterday that more or less told me I'm done. Not definitively, though. That's one thing that does bother me, as probably a too conscientious type of person. I think there should be something saying the court will no longer harass me because I fulfilled all my obligations under the divorce decree, which is basically a scam. And that's why we really need to change the laws. Come on, Chloe. And that's what I want to be more focused on, which my brain, it does not focus anymore, a lot because of come on, Chloe. A lot because of the way our society handles divorce. And unfortunately, it's a lot of my personality that creates part of the problem too. But I don't know. I don't think I'm that unusual. I'm definitely unusual enough that I'm making a video about it this morning, and instead of laying in my bed with the effects of the depression that comes from being involved in such a terrible situation. And it's definitely maybe part of because of my resistance, or maybe part of just the system's broken, or maybe part of my overall patience, because I didn't force things through like I should have. There's definitely things. Whenever somebody's going through something like this, it's typically, if they don't know anybody else that's gone through it, you're doing it for the first time and you don't know what to expect. And quite honestly, there's a lot more. It's very disheartening with the way it's handled with the professionals that are involved in it. It's like there's so many things that, like, come on, Chloe. If you don't know much about it, and then the professionals that study it, like farming or something like that. I just throwing that out there really quickly, because my best friend's a farmer, and why they plant what they plant, and why they do it for really good reasons that you would never expect. So they can ultimately, though, it's still profit driven, and what crops make the most money, and what the demand is, and all of that. But at least there is definitely some problems in our food industry as well. And but in general, the actual farmers that are on the ground, they're figuring out the most efficient way to do things to make the most amount of food and provide service to the public. I guess I could actually draw a few parallels to the corruption at the upper levels when they try to sell the public food that they produce that the society doesn't necessarily need. And it's not necessarily the best for society, but it doesn't really hurt individual people, and the individual people involved are much more ethical than the legal professionals. And I kind of started this with ethics and all of that. They're one of the most unethical professions out there, and we're using that profession to help people go through the worst time of their lives. Because one of the things I've learned in the last couple of years as I've been suffering, and I've been to Iraq, and I think the underlying conditions of divorce are worse than the underlying conditions that I experienced in Iraq. It depends on everybody's individual job, the people they work with, and all that. So two people doing the exact same situation will come out of it differently. But family court is incredibly. I got a phone call coming in. You know what? There's some really good stuff. I'm gonna just end that call and call them back later. I'll finish this up. Gosh, there's some comments in here that I'm not used to getting. Watching from Venezuela. That is really awesome. Because, yeah, crazy crap is going down in Venezuela, and I wonder how bad it really is there. Somebody needs toilet paper. Oh, whatever. Okay, that's the person in Venezuela. They need toilet paper. Okay, good luck with when I come back. I'll miss you more than that. I'm not sure what's that all about. The mental health department is a good idea for me, and the ethics to get a job. Gosh, I can't see. It's I guess it's one thing would be cool if I could do better with. Got to have my contacts in so I can read the comments. But I'm just gonna. This hasn't really gone the direction I wanted when I started, and if it was a video, I probably would have just never posted it. But trying to get Chloe up in some exercise. If you watch my channel, there's a lot of videos on my channel by my divorce story. Not now. I kind of feel like I got freedom from the court. It should be over. I guess never have complete freedom, but I am trying to repair my friendship with my wife right now, ex-wife. It's going to be interesting to see exactly where that goes. I guess if you want to see things in a legal world, she did nothing wrong. This is really why I have way more problems with the law and the business of divorce and what they've created for the law, because they've created a system that is often very unjust. In my personal situation, I think it's the most unjust thing I've ever experienced in my life. Not that there isn't much more significant ones, and not that other people haven't. Hey, that's one thing that's actually really scary for me too, and it's one thing that's made a lot of my experience even worse. Is upset as I am with the family court system and the legal professionals. I'm still coming out pretty good on the other end. A lot of it is because I was even better to start with. Made a bunch of good decisions, and so I have a lot to lose, and I didn't lose it all. And some people lose it all. And as I get more involved in the family courts, and I just had so many experiences over the last couple years, and they don't seem to stop, actually. Even in the last few days, because of my last 6-7 months of experiences with family court, I learned to trust and hopefully not foolishly, trust some people that, or trust a guy that's been likely railroaded and got screwed over way more than I did from family court and family dynamic processes. There where people don't do rational things, and the court system doesn't really do its due diligence to be fair to everybody involved. And that's a lot of what I want to do, is figure out how to actually take this miserable experience and make it better. Make some changes to help make it better for other people. And I don't know, maybe I'll jump back on here later. I didn't go the direction I wanted, like I said, but I got some of my thoughts out. It's my first day of freedom, and I got to get out of Ohio and start clearing my head, and start the recovery period from 2 years of trauma that never ever remotely needed to happen. Yeah, I guess that's it for now. This is cool. I got more comments than I've ever had in the past that I know of, and maybe this is moving in the right direction, because 3 months ago I definitely wanted to do something like this, or 4 months ago, whenever I actually got the divorce decree was final, but it wasn't over yet. And that's one thing I never understood. Yeah. And maybe I needed even more ridiculous stuff. Because if you check the news, there's a judge in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, that is removed from the bench and looking to be prosecuted for the same type of crime. She probably stole electronics or TVs or something like that. If you're comparing crime to what my judge did, maybe he just kind of shoplifted like a relatively cheap thing. But he still, the effects on the victims of these judges' crimes, that's one thing that's, as I watched the news coverage a little bit on Leslie Celebrezi's case, nobody really mentions the victims of the crimes are the litigants that she needlessly sent to create more business for the business of divorce. And my judge, as far as I'm concerned, my judge is very guilty of that. And we'll see what happens in the future. It's one thing, that's probably the most negative thing I'm going to be fighting going forward. I'm going to try to turn this as positive as I can. So check out some of my other videos. If you're watching this, you can look at my divorce story. I've made that public playlist again. I gotta play with. I've done so much over the last year. I just slowly done more and more and more and more, just to document my experience through this. And it's just, whether I'm right or wrong, your mind gets clouded. And most people, when they're going through this, they're not in their right mind. And I'm somewhat embarrassed with some of the stuff. There's things I would like to do differently. If I was in a clear head, I would have done differently. But the truth is, you're not always in a clear head. And again, that's where we need the unethical profession out of a serious problem that most people suffer through. And we need people like Catherine Woodward Thomas wrote a book called Conscious Uncoupling. We need a whole industry. If we're going to encourage people to get divorced and move on with their lives and not stay committed in marriage, we need an industry that actually tries to help both people out. Because generally, there's fault on both sides usually. And a lot of times there's not even any fault at all. And it's just better for both people, or one or the other, to move on from the other. And we don't need the threat of law, the threat of going to jail, money being extorted. We don't need all of that being part of it. And that's what legal professionals bring into it. And I just know that from experience, and that my personal experience, which is not necessarily like all the others too. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm calling it quits for now. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everyone that's watched. Hopefully I do stuff that's a little bit more better and worthwhile watching. But yeah, I still can't think clearly enough to do that. So eventually I will, and I'm out for now. All right, Chloe.